name is Ashley Griffin, and this is my informative speech. My topic is the history of nursing. So your loved one is in the hospital and they're critically ill. Who is going to take care of them? A nurse. Nobody ever likes to think about their family or themselves getting sick, but unfortunately it's probably going to happen. So I think a lot of people take comfort in knowing that there's people out there who devote their lives to taking care of sick people. They're compassionate and caring. So nursing is a profession that's been around for many years. Today I will tell you about the beginning of nursing, the middle ages of nursing, and then nursing today. So we'll start with where nursing began. Nursing history has been around for approximately 150 years. According to Success in Practical and Vocational Nursing by Hill and Howlett, the ancient Hebrews were the first to ever mention nurses as persons who cared for the sick. And then next we go to the age of Christianity, which was 1st to 5th centuries AD. Rome established the first military hospitals ever, and the relatives and friends of the sick took care of their sick loved ones. So they were the first nurses, I guess you could say, just the friends and family of the sick people. And as Christianity grew, nursing developed as a form of Christian charity. So as, I guess you could say, as a gift to their church, they went out and took care of sick people. Next, I'm going to go to the Dark Ages and the Middle Ages. Ongoing battles between the church and state hindered care of the sick. So during this time, sick people were kind of being ignored because everybody was kind of worried about the battles between church and state. And in the Middle Ages, women were trained to care for the sick, and men were trained to fight in the war. So the nurses were primarily women in that time, or all women, I guess you could say, and then the men fought in the war. Next, we move to the Renaissance, and nursing care was very scarce throughout these times. These ages were marked by neglect of the poor, homeless, and ill. And then in the 19th century, hospitals were a place of confinement where people often picked up additional diseases, so they were very dirty, not sanitary at all. Perfume was used to cover up offensive odors, and nurses had to stuff snuff in their noses in order to be able to even work, because the conditions were so horrible. Nursing was considered an inferior profession. Only criminals and bad people basically were nurses at that time, because it was considered such an awful job to do. So next we'll move to the middle years of nursing. The first school of nursing was founded by the Lutheran Order of Deaconesses under the supervision of a German pastor. His name was Theodor Fliedner. The school's most famous student was Florence Nightingale. If you know anything about nursing, I'm sure you've heard that name. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about her. We like to lovingly call her Flo. According to the Florence Nightingale bibliography by John Simpkin, Florence Nightingale was born in Florence, Italy on May 12, 1820. Her parents named her after the city she was born in. Upon graduation from the nurses training program, she became superintendent of the institution for the care of the sick, gentlewomen in distress. Nightingale invented the call light. It was a call bell back then because there wasn't electricity, but so she would give all of her patients a bell, and she told them to ring it when they needed help. So today we have the call light, and they just push a button, and that's how we know when our patients need help. When the Crimean War broke out, Nightingale wrote a letter to the Secretary of War offering her services. She didn't know it, but he had actually written to her as well, asking her to come help. So they kind of, she wanted to help him, and he needed her help, so it worked out good. According to the American Association for the History of Nursing, by the end of 6 months, Florence Nightingale had dropped the death rate from 420 deaths per 1,000 casualties to 22 per 1,000. So from 420 to 22. So she was awesome. The core of her nursing values was perfection. In 1989, the Florence Nightingale Museum was opened in London. It is on the grounds of the St. Thomas Hospital. And then my last point is nursing today. In 1944, the role of practical nurse was defined. The terms to judge, to appraise, and to recognize, and to determine were used to define a practical nurse, which that's what I am. In 1949, the roles of an RN and an LPN were defined. So before then, there was RNs and LPNs, but there wasn't like written rules as to what each entailed. In 1990, unlicensed assisted personnel were created. So basically, CNAs, nurses, aides, people who weren't licensed but could be there to help take care of the sick patients. Today, our scope outlines exactly what we can and cannot do. It's very important for nurses to go by that. And most hospitals have gone to all electronic charting, so like within 10 years, nursing has completely changed. You no longer have to write everything down. You basically go into a computer and click what you want, what applies to your patient, and that's how you chart today. So the nursing profession has came a long way. Like I said earlier, the first nurse was recorded over 150 years ago, so we've gone from family and friends starting out helping their loved ones to licensed persons who get an education to help sick people.